This is a fierce battle in the sub-500cc performance segment. To my right is the reigning champion, KTM's 390 Duke, that is currently in his third avatar, and this one packs one of the best premium components in terms of equipment, features, performance, riding dynamics, and all of that, which has been really good in favor of this motorcycle as a very mighty contender. And now challenging this machine is the latest Aprilia, the Tuono 457, the naked sibling to the RS 457, and this one too comes packed with premium equipment, a nice design that has got a very imposing stance, and some more. So the question here is to find out how these motorcycles go head to head with each other on multiple factors like ride quality, performance, equipment, and more. And with that, we'll let you folks know whether the Duke continues to be the champion of this segment, or does this Italian motorcycle manages to snatch the crown from this one. But before we get going, if you are new to our channel, do subscribe to Car and Bike for the latest news, reviews and updates from the world of cars and bikes from Car and Bike.
When it comes to street naked styling, both the KTM 390 Duke and Aprilia Tuono 457 are turning heads, but in very different ways. The 390 Duke is loud and unapologetic. With that aggressive, sharp-edged design language, it screams performance even at a standstill. The split LED headlamp, exposed steel trellis frame, and angular tank extensions give it a raw mechanical edge. In contrast, the Tuono 457 carries a more refined Italian flair. Inspired by its bigger siblings, it blends sporty aggression with sleek sophistication. The front features aerodynamic wing-style side panels hinting at its track DNA. Moving to the features, the 390 Duke packs a full-colored 5-inch TFT unit that gets smartphone connectivity, turn-by-turn navigation, and even launch control. You also get ride modes, cornering ABS, and Supermoto ABS. Meanwhile, the Tuono 457 keeps things slightly more focused. It offers a clean TFT console, dual-channel ABS that's switchable, 3 levels of traction control, ride modes, and Bluetooth connectivity for connected features.
While being feature-packed and packing an imposing stance, let's move to the ergonomics of these street nakeds. Now, it's clear that these bikes have got an aggressive stance along with an upright riding position, which is suited for day-to-day commuting in the city and as well as for your weekend rides. Now, I am 5'7" and I'm going to quickly give you a run-through of how the riding ergonomics are different between these two motorcycles. So let's start with the Tuono 457. Getting on the motorcycle is not a problem. Both these motorcycles have got a seat height of 800 and you have a nice and welcoming stance with this motorcycle. The handlebar is nice and wide. The tank has got good recess, so you can keep your knee, you can lock it in over here when you are cornering. The seat is also pretty much nicely comfortable compared to the Duke. But what I need to tell you about the Tuono 457 is that the distance between the seat and the foot peg is lesser compared to the Duke. So what happens here is that on longer rides, your lower torso tends to get a bit cramped, and even for taller riders, this motorcycle, the riding triangle is slightly on the compact side. Well, that's about the Tuono 457. Now let's move to the KTM and let's talk about that. Over here, like I mentioned, you again have a seat height of 800 mm, but the seat is slightly wider. So when you are sitting on the motorcycle, so it is slightly wider at the back, but it has been contoured well towards the front section of the seat, so you can easily wrap your knees around the tank. You don't have the kind of recess to lock in your knee on the Duke, but nevertheless, the tank area is pretty neat and sleek, so you can hug the bike very well. About the handlebar, you get a similar one-piece handlebar here, but this one is slightly closer to you, and the distance between the seat and the foot peg has been well set by KTM, so taller riders shouldn't have any trouble with this motorcycle. Along with that, KTM also offers you an addition wherein you can increase the seat height from 800 to 820, so that also benefits taller riders.
Moving to the powertrain, the KTM 390 Duke comes with the latest 399cc single-cylinder liquid-cooled engine that makes 45.3 bhp and 39 Nm of torque. But the numbers only tell half of the story. This motor is rev-happy, raw, and explosive in the mid-range. Paired with a lightweight chassis and a quick shifter, the Duke feels razor-sharp and loves being pushed hard. On the other hand, the Aprilia Tuono 457 features an all-new 457cc parallel twin engine. It's smoother, more refined, and is designed with a broader power band. In terms of power figures, it produces 47 bhp and 43.5 Nm of torque, with better top-end performance and a creamy torque curve thanks to its twin-cylinder layout.
On analyzing the spec sheet of both these motorcycles, it is evident that the Tuono 457 packs more power and more torque. So that means if your daily commutes were nothing but a drag race, the Tuono will definitely be the one going ahead. And during our test, we managed a top speed of around 175 kmph with the Tuono, while the Duke managed to secure a speedo indicated top speed of around 160 kmph. But having said that, our daily commutes and the everyday riding that we go through involves a lot more than just straight line riding, which is where the handling and the other aspects with the ride quality and the suspension equipment and the brakes come into picture. In the case of the Duke, this motorcycle comes with a steel trellis frame, while the Tuono 457 comes with a twin spar aluminum frame. Furthermore, the cycle parts on these motorcycles are more or less similar to each other. You get USDs at the front and you get a monoshock at the rear. Both are adjustable on these motorcycles. However, on the Duke, you get a more extensive approach in terms of how you can tweak the suspension. You got compression and rebound at the front, and besides preload setting for the rear, you can also stiffen or harden the suspension at the rear. Whereas for the Tuono 457, you only get preload settings for the front and the rear. During our time testing these motorcycles back to back on different road terrains, may it be bumps or speed breakers or potholes, we found that the Duke manages to iron out all these undulations much better compared to the Tuono. Now do bear in mind that this is the third generation Duke, so KTM has had all the time to improve the suspension setup, make it nicer, more pliant, more plush, while maintaining its sporty character and this dynamic handling when it comes to the Duke. In the case of the Tuono, the Aprilia is pretty new to this segment, and while it does have cycle parts and the equipment to perform, the setting is not quite in place for daily use in terms of a ride that is comfortable and plush. We found that the suspension was pretty much transferring a good bit of the bumps and undulations to the chassis of the motorcycle, which eventually transferred to the handlebar, seat and the foot pegs, which makes the overall ride experience a bit bumpy. So that being said, the Duke does win in that aspect. From there, moving to the agility and the cornering abilities of these motorcycles, I can say that this is somewhat like what the Duke has always stood for, the sharp handling, and it is direct and it gives you all the feedback that you need while you're cornering, giving you the correct response so that you can have the correct line to carve out of the corner. In the case of the Tuono, while it feels all aggressive in terms of performance, in the cornering department, this one likes to take it a bit on the smoother side. It doesn't like it when you take it too aggressive. It is more like you want to take those long sweeping corners, but this one just wants to attack like boom, boom, boom. It just wants to keep from one corner to the other one. It just wants to hunt apexes all day long. Along with that, what I also need to mention is that the steering geometry of both the motorcycles, the rake angle is pretty much the same, but at the same time, on this motorcycle, the front end feels pretty twitchy when you are belting it, and when ridden over bumpy surfaces, the handlebar tends to, how can I say it? It tends to wobble a bit. It is controllable, but at the same time, it also is something that you do not want on a motorcycle, because that is what leads to a tank slapper, and that is the last thing that we want when we are riding motorcycles. The Duke remains calm and composed all the time. You can belt it through rough patches or even bumpy roads or potholes. It maintains its poise. It does not transfer that to the rider. It takes care of it and leaves you with more time and all the concentration to keep pacing it, to keep gunning it, to get ahead of the competition that you have around you. Moving further from that, what also needs to be spoken about, which is very crucial for a motorcycle in this segment, are the brakes. The brake calipers on both these motorcycles for the front are absolutely identical. Now, you get sintered brake pads on the Duke, while you get organic brake pads on the Tuono. So that being said, the braking performance on the Duke is significantly better. You have more consistency, the brake bite is strong. Aprilia does offer you race-inspired brake pads for the Tuono, but they do come at a premium cost of around 9,000. So that being said, in my books, I feel that for a motorcycle of this caliber, it should come with sintered brake pads as standard. Lastly, coming to the tires, you get Metzeler H-rated tires on the Duke, whereas the Tuono comes with Eurogrip steel radials. The performance of both these tires is pretty good. There's not much to complain here, but if you are a seasoned motorcyclist, you would feel that there's a bit of a limit when it comes to the performance of these tires, as they tend to wear out a bit faster. As in the case of the Tuono 457, these are steel radial tires, and we have tested these tires on a track, as well as also got enough time to ride them on city roads as well, and the overall performance has been good. There's enough grip that you get even on wet surfaces to slide gravel or uneven roads. These tires have performed really well.
In the pricing department, while both motorcycles sit in the same segment, the price difference between the two is of a lakh. While the KTM 390 Duke carries a sticker price of Rs 2.95 lakh, the Aprilia Tuono 457 retails at Rs 3.95 lakh, both ex-showroom.
So then now we are arriving to the verdict of both these street nakeds. It has been a neck and neck competition between both these motorcycles. The Aprilia Tuono 457, a very feisty motor. It's a parallel twin and it really sounds awesome. In the case of the 390 Duke, this motorcycle can be called as a mini scalpel. It definitely is a very agile and a very good motorcycle when it comes to the handling aspect. This one, as we saw in our test, it managed to do the best top speed. This one has been one of the best canyon carving, or absolutely a blast when it comes to corners. But there are a few other aspects as well that need to be considered between both these motorcycles. For instance, this one is a lakh more compared to the 390 Duke. And along with that, if you had to spec this motorcycle with all the equipment that is on offer, for example, the adjustable levers, the center brake pads, the USB charging port and the quick shifter, you're looking at a cost of around 40,000 on the price that you pay for this motorcycle. Whereas for the Duke, you get all of that standard, which really makes this an even better package. So that being said, if you had to tick the boxes in terms of equipment and features and handling dynamics, the Duke does take the crown over here. Whereas for the Tuono, if you are looking at outright performance and in terms of looks and in terms of exclusivity, the Tuono does tick all those boxes. So putting all those factors into place, the Duke comes across as a motorcycle is for someone who likes that precision, who likes that, the spirited kind of riding, to be ridden at that fast pace. In the case of the Tuono, it is not like that. It is more of a relaxed version compared to the Duke. Yes, you are getting the speed, you are getting the agility, but it is in a more relaxed format with the Tuono. And along with that, what lastly needs to be spoken about is the service network for both these brands. Now, KTM is handled by Bajaj Auto, so you have a very vast service network, and along with that, the price of spares and the service costs are also pretty much affordable when it comes to this motorcycle. Unfortunately, the same can't be said about the Aprilia because this comes across as a premium product, and the service network that Aprilia currently has for the Tuono 457 and the RS 457 is somewhere in the ballpark of 60 outlets. So you might have a tough time with regards to getting to the service center and the dealership and the overall ownership experience that comes with the cost of spares and service cost. That being said, I really do hope that you have liked this video, and if you have, do give it a thumbs up and do share it with your friends. I'm Janak Saurabh and I'll meet you in the next video. Thank you for watching Car and Bike.